Inspector Shams?
Yes.
I'm on the phone. I called my assistant. I had her look up the ordinance that we're referring to here. The ordinance is referring to, it says, it's section 21, and it says no electronic amplified devices will be permitted for performances subject to the noise ordinance. Now, the section 21 is dealing with those who are on the boardwalk engaged in performing. We're not here to perform. We're not I don't know how to pronounce the term, buckbrister or whatever they're called. We're not here, a buckbrister or whatever it is. We're not performing on the boardwalk. This particular thing talking about amplification is referring to those here performing. A guitar player with a microphone or something like that, or someone that's soliciting money. We're not performing, we're preaching. It's a free speech message, and the noise ordinance under the city protects our right to be effectively heard. It gives us a decibel range, it gives us feet, it tells us different things, and that's what I encourage the sergeant to look after. What I'm asking you, they deferred to you, the officers deferred to you, and I'm asking if you would look at that ordinance, and you'll see what I'm referring to. We take this very seriously. I understand you take your job seriously too. I'm not saying that you're not, but this is affecting our ability to effectively be heard on this boardwalk considering the venue and the noise. But I assure you that we were here before. We've used amplification without issue several different times, but this is a complete shutdown of our effective public speech. And all I'm asking is if you would take a look at that section, you'll see it's referring to performances, and we are not performing. And if we're cited with this, it then becomes a big legal fiasco. And
you're not going to be cited as long as you stay in compliance, but you can't have that amplified device out without a permit. You have to get prior approval, and that's the word, approval.
But it's
because listen to me. What's your name again?
Michael.
Michael. If we allow anybody just to come up here and set up shop, because everybody is protected under freedom of speech.
Yes.
Whether it's religious or not. If anybody can just come up here and set up, we'll have 1,000 people. You have to get prior approval. That is the magic word.
Well, I understand that you may have concerns, whatever they are, but what I'm saying that this particular statute that the police are deferring to and deferring to you does not apply to non-performance-based free speech activity. We are not in a performance here. We're not trying to entertain.
Somewhat it does, but the magic word is to do what you're doing, you need prior approval. You just can't come up and have an amplified device and have the signs.
Sorry. Is it recording necessary?
Yes, sir. It is. It is.
I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm not telling you nothing wrong.
Well, Inspector, with all due respect, I've been through these types of legal issues before, and we've tried our very best with right now, even me coming to you, and we've stopped, we've complied with what you're saying.
And I see where you're going with it because you keep coming back like you're going to do it anyway.
Well, no, we haven't.
That's where I'm getting because you are adamant in your position,
and
it's
like heard here, sir.
Yes, you can. You can, but you keep coming like you're going to do this anyway. That's where you're coming.
No, we would like to do it.
You're recording, like, okay, you're trying to establish where we're stopping you,
Inspector,
and we're going to cite you for doing what you're doing. So if you do it, we are going to cite you.
So what are we doing that's a performance? Can you please explain?
Let me explain. So if we do violate you, then you take it to the courts. Win or lose, that's your choice. But right now, you cannot have that, and I have to stick with that. I have to stick with that because of my job's sake.
But how are we performing?
It's not a performance. I don't call it a performance.
Are we performing?
You can't have the amplified device up here without prior approval. See, I need to see that letter saying that you got approval from neither planning or development.
But Inspector, if we're not performing, how does this section of the ordinance...
I'm not arguing that. It's not saying you performing.
So
you need prior approval to do that, to have an amplified device.
But you agree we're not performing?
I agree with that.
Okay, so
I don't call that a performance. Now, some may call that a performance. Like your man sitting up on that. That's a performance. He's performing. And it seems religiously he's performing. But that's a performance. Standing up on that step, if you look up the definition of performance, that's a performance.
Well, we're not.
That's a stage performance.
We're not performing anything here. The performance-based definition, and we'll have to look into that more if you're saying that what we're doing is a performance.
I beg you,
but if it is a performance,
get prior approval.
But Inspector,
and let me explain something to you. My decision does not override ACPD.
They defer to you, sir.
They just passing the buck. You need to see the captain or whoever, but I'm giving you good advice. You need to get prior approval. Once you get approval, you good.
But the
you good. You show me that piece of paper saying I went to planning and development.
But the section requires.
Let me finish. You said I went to planning and development. And I went to special events. They gave me the permit to be up here with my amplified device, and you're good. Like I said, anybody can come up and just set up a device and say, okay, you got 2 million people up here doing whatever they doing, and it's like we can't say nothing.
Well,
what
a great place for free speech.
See, even in performances, they don't stop you. It's a certain number that has to be in certain positions. And say like another person wants to come, another religion comes, they couldn't be next to you because that could lead to a conflict. See, that's why you need prior approval. So they say, okay, well, we know this person is here. Let me explain. You know this person is here, and then if somebody else comes, then we say, okay, well, they had to be placed here. Or they had to go somewhere where it's not going to be a conflict, because this has arisen before. That's why you have to get prior approval.
Section 21 of the ordinance that this is under, or the section that it's under, it's talking about other people, performers have to get a license too. So if you're saying we're performing,
I didn't say he was performing.
We're not performing. You said he was performing.
You need to get prior approval just to come up here.
You said he's performing though, right? No?
Some would consider that a performance.
Okay, so what he's doing. But okay, well my point is that handing out literature, holding a sign, when does it become a performance?
I didn't say it becomes a performance. I'm not you saying it. I'm not saying it. I didn't use the word performance. You use the word performance. I just said you need prior approval to come up here to set up an amplified device. You're missing the point.
But there's no law that requires that, sir. There's no law. Under Section 21, it's talking about performances. That's what
maybe you have a limit in what you have for law. But cut and dry. I can't sit here because I have things to do. There's other things that I have to cover, and I can't stand here and debate with you about this.
We're not looking to debate. We're just looking to regain our right. Can we regain our right to free speech?
You cannot have an amplified device up here without prior approval.
Even if we have it on a very low setting.
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
Under Section 21.
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
Yes, sir, but is it under Section 21?
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
I understand that, but is it under Section 21?
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
I understand, sir. But what I'm asking you is what law?
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
And so, no ordinance, it's just your...
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
And are you the supervising...
I am the chief inspector for the mercantile department.
You are? And it's, is it Chief Shams or Chief Inspector Shams?
His name's, I don't have my card on. I'm going to get you a card later on this.
So you're the chief of the entire division?
Just for the evening shift.
For the evening shift, okay. Well...
You cannot have an amplified device up here without prior approval.
Based on Section 21.
You cannot have the amplified device up here without prior approval.
Okay. All right, I don't know what else to say. Thank you, sir.
You will.